In today's video, I'll be sharing my exact trade plan for Euro USD, Pounds USD, Australia USD, USDJPY, US30, BTC, and Gold. If you are new here, my name is Z, Forex trader with over 18 years trading experience. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Let's get started with the analysis. Let's start our analysis with the Pounds USD. So from the weekly time frame, we can clearly see that the Pounds USD on the weekly chart still have price on this range. So long we have price on this range, we still remain sideways trend on the Pounds USD. But we need a breakout for us to see strong downtrend. Then we also need a breakout to the top for us to see strong bullish momentum for the Pounds USD on the weekly time frame. So long the weekly time frame is on the sideways trend, expect Pounds on the lower time frame to be trending on a ranging trend also. So this week, what do we expect from the Pounds USD this week? This week, price on the Pounds USD close on a resistance level. We have price close on this resistance level, which is here was the previous support level. Price close below it, price converted to what? Resistance level. So long price close on this resistance level, we expect price to do a retest of this zone. Then we can start looking for more sell of price to this next weekly support level. So here will be our target for this week for the Pounds to test. A break of this level might trigger more sell for the Pounds USD. Then for the buy scenario for the Pounds USD on the weekly time frame, we need a break of price. We need price to close above this resistance level. Then we can start looking for possible buy to this resistance level for the Pounds USD. So long the Pounds on the weekly chart close on this resistance level, this is a good indication of for to expect more downtrend for the Pounds USD this week. So let's go to our daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, we can clearly see that last week we have a major drop on the Pounds USD, which break below this higher low. So long price break below this higher low, this indication of price changing its trend to downtrend. So long price as break below this higher low, what we expect this week, and we also see price close on this resistance level, this support level. From this support level, we can't sell on this support level, because if you are selling from this support level, we might lost our hard-earned money. So we need price to come to a resistance level, which is this resistance area, for us to start looking for possible sell to be done. So expect price to come to this area before you start looking for the selling opportunity of Pounds to this support level this week. Then for the buying scenario on the Pounds USD, we need price to break above this high, which is this high. Then we can start looking for price to buy to the top. So for this week, our major scenario will be we have to look out for selling opportunity from this resistance area from the Pounds USD. So we have to look out for our sell opportunity from those resistance area this week. So let's look at our next pair. Let's go to our next pair, which is the Euro USD. The Euro USD, let's start from the weekly time frame. The Euro USD on the weekly time frame close on a support level. We have a support zone at this area. We have this support zone. Price close on this support zone. Then price also converts this support to resistance. So this week on the weekly time frame, the euro is not that clear, because price close on a support level and price also converts a resistance to support. So we don't have a clear decision on the Euro USD for now. We can't sell from this support zone. We can only sell from this resistance zone. So our aim now is to look out for selling opportunity from this resistance zone, but we cannot sell from this support zone. So we have to sell from this level to this next support level. for the Euro USD. And if price fail to break this support, it might trigger price back up. But the price break this level, we might see more sell for the Euro USD. So let's look at the trend of the market on Euro USD on the weekly time frame. On my weekly time frame, you can clearly see that we still have a sideways trend on the Euro USD, which is we have price still remain on this range. You can see we have still remain on this range. So long price remain on this range, we don't expect any big move until we see a break. Then we can start looking for major sell. Then if we see a break up, we start looking for major buy. So for now, price will still remain on the range on the Euro USD until we see the break before we start looking for any major movement on the Euro USD. So let's look at the daily time frame of the Euro USD. On my daily chart, we can clearly see that price. Let's start with the trend on Euro USD on daily chart. We can clearly see that on the daily chart, we have price create this higher high and a lower high. So this is indication of price reversal for downtrend for the Euro USD. Then price also converts this daily support level and also a weekly support level to a resistance level. So if we are to sell the Euro USD, we need price to come to this resistance. Then we can start looking for sell to the downside. Then we can see that price currently closed on this weekly support and also a daily support level. So we cannot sell from this support area now. We need to sell from this resistance area. So we expect price to come to this resistance before start looking for the sell opportunity to this support level. So this week we have to wait for price to reverse back to the resistance areas for us to sell the Euro USD. Because if you are selling from a support level, it's risky selling from support level. You might lose your hard-earned money. So don't sell on a support level. So wait for price to come to that good area of resistance before then with your price confirmation, you can start selling the euro to the down. So our scenario for this week for sell, we need price to come to this resistance. We look out for sell to the down. Then for buying scenario, we need price to break above this high. Then we'll start looking for buy to the top. So our major scenario for this week, we are to look out for sell from a resistance level for the Euro USD. So let's look at our next pair, which is the DSY, which is the dollar index. Let's start our analysis from the weekly time frame. So on my weekly time frame, we can clearly see that price has also converted. We also have price converting this support level, this resistance level into a support level. Then price also close on this resistance level. So you can see that the same thing that happened on the euro is also happening now on the DSY. Price close on a resistance. Price converts is a resistance to support. This is not a clear information to trade. We need a clear information to trade on the DSY for us to make any. If you are serious with your trading and you want to take your trading career to the next level, you can book for my one-on-one coaching. The link is in the description below, or you can get access to my video course. The link also in the description below. You can also join my Telegram group where I drop free signals weekly, and the signals are 85% accurate. The link is in the description below to join my Telegram group. So let's continue with the Forex analysis. A strong decision to make profit this week. So for us to make the profit from the dollar pairs this week, because once the dollar index is going up, every pair connected to the dollar will be dropping. So now, for us to make profit this week from the dollar pairs this week, we need a retest of this level that was convert to this level that this resistance will convert to support. If we are to buy, we need price to come to these areas for us to buy to the top. Because this resistance is danger level. We cannot buy from this resistance. is risking buying from this particular resistance level. So we expect price to come to this support area for us to make any decision on buying the dollar index. So this week we have to wait for a reversal of price back to that weekly support level. Then we can start making our decision for buy. So let's look at the trend of the dollar index. So on my weekly time frame now, we can clearly see that the dollar index is still remain on this range, which is we have a consolidation trend. So long we have this consolidation trend, don't expect a big move until we see a break. Until we see a break of price above this area, then we can start looking for possible buy to the top for a major move. Then until you see a break below, we can start looking for major sell on the dollar index. So for now, we are just trading a sideways trend. So you have to be cautious while trading sideways trend. So we need price to come to a support level, a significant level, which is this support area, for us to make any possible decision now on the dollar index. Let me indicate you can screenshot it if you like. Let me indicate it. This support level will be our area of interest if we want to buy the dollar. This zone will be our area of interest, which is we expect price to come back into this zone before we start looking for buy to this next resistance level on the dollar index. So we have price close on resistance now, which is not encouraging to buy from that resistance level. So let's look at the daily time frame. On my daily time frame, we can clearly see that we have this double bottom on the dollar index. So long we have a double bottom on dollar index and price close above the neck of the double bottom, this is a shift in trend on the dollar index. But we also have price close on this resistance on the dollar index. So you cannot buy from this resistance because price close on the resistance level. So we expect price to come to this support, which is a daily support and also a weekly support. So for us to buy the dollar index now, because we have a reversal trend already building up on the dollar index, we need price to come to this zone, then we can start looking for buy to the top. Buying from this resistance is a trap. Avoid buying from this particular resistance. Wait for price to come to this support, a weekly support and also a daily support for you to buy the dollar index to the top. So this week we have to be patient and wait for price to come to this particular support level before we make any decision on buying the dollar index. So let's look at our next pair, which is the Australia USD. Let's start from the weekly time frame. So Australia USD on the weekly time frame still close on a support level. We still have this zone as a support zone. We still have this zone as a support zone, which is this level. It still remains a support zone because price closed above it before. So for us to sell the Australia, we need price to come back to this resistance area. Then we can start looking for possible sell. Because you can also see that price convert this previous support into a resistance. So we need a retest of that level. Then we can start looking for possible sell for the Australia to this next support level or this support level for the Australia USD. So let's look at the trend of the Australia USD on the weekly time frame. On my weekly time frame, you can clearly see that we still have lower low and a series of higher low. This series of higher low indicates strong bullish momentum for the Australia USD to the top. So long we have this strong bullish momentum. So if you are trading the Australia now, it shows that you are just trading a reversal trend for the Australia USD to this next support level or this support level. So expect price to retest to this area. Once you see retest of this area, this might trigger more buy to the top because the structure of the Australia USD still remain on the uptrend. But once you see a break of this level, this might trigger bearish trend strength for the Australia USD. So let's look at the daily time frame of the Australia USD. So on my daily time frame of the Australia USD, you can clearly see that price currently close on a support level and also on converting a resistance level. So we need price now. So long price close on this support level, we need price to come back to resistance for us to what, to sell the Australia USD. Then if price break this level, might see more sell. Then price fail, might see reversal of price back to the top for the Australia USD. So this week we have to be patient and wait for price to come to a good resistance level for us to what, to sell the Australia USD to the downside. So what is trend of the Australia USD on the daily time frame? The trend of the Australia USD on the daily time frame, we have this lower low, higher low, then higher low. So long we have this series of higher low, this indicates more bullish trend for the Australia USD. So long we have this strong bullish trend of Australia USD, our job is to look at for, this shows that we are trading a reversal trend for the Australia USD. So trading a reversal trend requires patience, but when you are trading the trend of the market, you enjoy trading the trend of the market. So be cautious and trade with caution on the Australia USD this week. So let's look at our next pair, which is the USDJPY. Let's start from the weekly time frame. On my weekly time frame, let's look at the trend of the USDJPY. On the USDJPY, we can clearly see that we have strong bullish method on the USDJPY, which is price is creating series of higher low, which is price is creating series of higher low for the USDJPY. So long the price is creating series of higher low on USDJPY, and we have price close on this support zone, which is this price converting this support, this resistance to support, which is a good sign for more buy for the USDJPY. So we expect price to retest of this zone, then we can start looking for more buy for the USDJPY. So USDJPY setup is one of my best setup this week. Why is it my best setup this week? Because we have strong bullish method, which is we have price creating series of higher low for buy. Then we also have price converting this particular support level, which is this support level, into a resistance level, which is this resistance into a support level, is a good sign for buying opportunity for the USDJPY. So long price has converted that previous resistance into a support level, is a good time for us to take advantage and buy the USDJPY to the top. So let's look at the daily time frame of the USDJPY. On my daily time frame, you can clearly see that price is currently shifting trend to uptrend, which is we have price close above this lower high, which creates a shift in trend for the USDJPY. So what do we expect this week for from the USDJPY? We need price to do a retest of this level, which is this previous resistance level. Then we can start looking for buy for USDJPY to the top. USDJPY come with a unique setup this week. So take advantage of this USDJPY this week to buy the USDJPY to the top. So this is one of my best setup this week. I'm giving full attention. 90% of my attention will be on the USDJPY this week for me to buy to the top. So for sell scenario for USDJPY, we need price to close below this area. Then we can start looking for sell opportunity for USDJPY. So our scenario for this week still remain bullish for the USDJPY. So let's look at our next pair, which is the US30. The US30 on, let's start from the weekly time frame. The US30 on my weekly time frame still close on a resistance level, and price convert a resistance to support and also close on. So we don't have a clear direction yet for US30 on the weekly time frame, because currently now we have price close on a support, which shows that we might see expect price to retest this resistance area before any further sell for the US30. So let's look at the trend of the US30 on the weekly time frame. On my weekly time frame, we don't have a clear trend on the US30. So we need a clear trend for us to swing the US30 to the top or to the down. So for now, we don't have a clear trend on the US30 on the weekly time frame. So let's go to the daily chart. On my daily chart, let's look at the trend. The US30 on the daily chart have this series of higher low on the daily time frame, which indicates more bullish move beating up for the US30. So long we have this strong bullish momentum beating up for the US30, we still remain bullish on the US30. But the weekly time frame never give us clear direction for bullish move. So we have to stay out of US30 this week because we don't have a clear direction to buy or to sell the US30 from the weekly time frame. But for buying scenario, we need a price. We can't buy from these resistance areas. We need a price above this resistance. We test, then we can start looking for buy. For sell scenario, we cannot sell from this support area. We need a break below, then we can start looking for sell for the US30. So US30 is not that clear to trade this week. So let's look at our next pair, which is the gold USD. Let's start our analysis from the weekly time frame. So the gold USD on the weekly time frame close on a support level. Then we also have price converting its support to resistance level. So we have price converting this support into a resistance level. This support is what push price back to this resistance area. Then price failed to break this resistance, price back down last week from that particular level. So what do we expect this week on the gold USD? We expect price to do a retest of this level, which is this previous support, which is now resistance. Then we can start looking for possible sell, which is my spin price retesting these zones. Then we can start looking for sell for the gold to the downside. Then for buy scenario, we need a break of this high. Then wait for retest. Then start looking for possible buy to the top. So let's look at the trend of gold on the weekly time frame. On my weekly time frame now, we can clearly see that gold is currently building bearish trend for this week, which is we now have this lower high, and a lower high, this is a bearish trend building up for gold USD. So we expect more bearish trend this week on the gold USD, but we need a price to retest any back to resistance level. Then we can start looking for the selling opportunity on the gold USD. So let's look at the daily chart of the gold USD. On my daily chart, you can clearly see that we have the trend on the gold CMA on a downtrend also, which is price creating series of lower highs on the gold USD. So long we have this series of lower high, we see remain down on the gold USD. So what do we expect this week to happen on the gold USD? We need price to come to this resistance area for us to sell the gold to the down, because currently we cannot sell from this support level. We can't sell from these support areas. This selling from this support area is a trap. So we need price to come to resistance for us to sell the gold USD to the downside. Selling from that resistance, from that support level, is a trap. But if you are selling from resistance level, you enjoy trading the market. So know the rules of the market and stick to the rules. Once you break the rules of the market, expect your stop loss to be taken. So know the rules and stick to the rules of your trading in this forex market. Trading is easy when you stick to your trade plan, but going against your trade plan becomes difficult trading. So gold for us this week is what sell, but we need price to come to a resistance area for us to sell the gold USD. Then for buy scenario, we need price to break above this high. Then we can start looking for series of higher low for buying scenario for the gold USD. So for now, our scenario this week, we are to sell the gold USD. So let's look at our next pair, which is the US30, which is the BTC USD. Let's start from the weekly time frame. So BTC USD on the weekly time frame, we have this double bottom. We have lower low and higher low. So long we have this price creating lower low and higher low, this is a shift in trend for the BTC USD. Then we also have price converting this lower high into a support level, which indicates we expect price to come to this area. Then we can start looking for possible buy for BTC to the top. So we have to be patient and wait for price to come to this support area for looking for that buying opportunity. So for now, we are just BTC is currently reversing to these support areas. So be patient. Let's stick to the plan. So let's go to the daily time frame. So on my daily time frame, we can clearly see that price converts this support into a resistance, which is we expect price to retest and drop for BTC before we see the buy to the top for the BTC USD. Then for buying scenario for now, if we can see a break of price above this high, then we can start looking for buy to the top. So our scenario for this week on BTC, we see expect price to come to back to this particular weekly support areas, which is this support. Let me draw the zone. You can screenshot it on your phone. This zone, before we start looking for possible buying opportunity for the BTC. So once we see price on this particular zone, we know that price is currently on our area of interest for us to buy the BTC to the top. So we can't buy from these areas. They are all resistance areas. So we need a clear buy from a strong support for us to buy the BTC to the top. So if you find this analysis helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more trading tips and forex analysis. You can also watch my previous analysis at the top, where I break down the current move that happened last week. Thank you. See you in my next video.